Buckingham Palace, an iconic symbol of British monarchy, started its life as a much humbler dwelling known as Buckingham House. Built in 1703, it was originally commissioned by John Sheffield, the Duke of Buckingham. The house was designed by architect William Wynd and was considerably smaller than the sprawling palace we know today. Buckingham House was a grand residence, but it was a private home, not yet touched by the destiny that awaited it. The house was constructed in a fashionable French style, popular at the time. It featured a central block with two flanking wings, all arranged around a courtyard. The interiors were lavishly decorated, reflecting the Duke's wealth and status. Buckingham House was surrounded by beautiful gardens, a stark contrast to the bustling city that would later surround it. The gardens were a place of tranquility and escape, a far cry from the ceremonial grounds they would become. The Duke of Buckingham died in 1721, and the house eventually passed into the hands of King George III in 1761. He acquired the property for his wife, Queen Charlotte, as a more private residence away from the formality of St. James's Palace. At this point, the house was still known as Buckingham House and retained much of its original character. Little did anyone know that this acquisition would mark the beginning of the building's transformation into one of the world's most famous palaces. King George III's purchase of Buckingham House marked a turning point in its history. No longer a private residence, it was gradually integrated into the life of the royal family. While George III himself preferred other residences like Windsor Castle and Kew Palace, Queen Charlotte favoured Buckingham House. She oversaw some renovations and expansions, making it more suitable for royal living. The Queen had a particular fondness for botany, and under her care, the gardens at Buckingham House flourished. She established a collection of exotic plants and oversaw the construction of a large conservatory. This love for nature would later be echoed by her granddaughter, Queen Victoria, who would play a pivotal role in the palace's further development. Over time, Buckingham House became known as the Queen's House, reflecting Queen Charlotte's influence and affection for the property. Although not yet officially designated as a palace, it was increasingly used for royal events and gathering. It hosted royal births, deaths, and even the occasional ball, slowly taking on a more prominent role within the monarchy. The accession of Queen Victoria in 1837 heralded a new era for Buckingham House, one marked by ambitious expansions and a complete transformation. Victoria was the first monarch to officially reside at Buckingham Palace, making it the primary royal residence in London. To accommodate the needs of a growing court and the demands of a modern monarchy, the palace underwent a series of major renovations and additions. One of the most significant changes was the construction of the iconic East Wing, designed by the architect Edward Blore. This new wing enclosed the central courtyard, creating the familiar quadrangle shape of the palace we see today. The East Wing also provided space for the famous balcony, from which the royal family greets the public on special occasions. This addition dramatically altered the palace's appearance, giving it the grandeur and imposing presence befitting a seat of power. Queen Victoria also oversaw the expansion and modernization of the palace's interior. Staterooms were enlarged and lavishly redecorated, reflecting the opulence and power of the British Empire at its zenith. New wings were added to accommodate the growing royal family and their staff, including more bedrooms, nurseries, and servants' quarters. The palace kitchens, considered state-of-the-art at the time, were also expanded to cater to the needs of the royal household and their guests. Throughout its history, Buckingham Palace has been shaped by the vision and efforts of many architects and monarchs. Each contributed to its evolution from a private residence into a symbol of the British monarchy. The transformations and expansions undertaken by Queen Victoria and her successors have ensured that Buckingham Palace remains a central figure in the story of the British royal family and a cherished icon of national heritage.